Before we begin, please be advised that this show may contain some adult themes and language that may not be suitable for all listeners. Now, onto our show. Welcome to the Sippin Saga Society, where we cover histories, mysteries, and overall weird ass shit. My name is Karina, and joining us today we have Christina and Nevada. Woo!
Hi.
Hey. Um, so, hi.
Hi.
I have 2 drinks today.
Ooh, two for one.
Yes, I wasn't feeling 100% today, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to motivate myself with beverages.
I also have two.
Oh, okay. Nev, how many do you have?
I have, I guess,
Oh,
two, but but one's just water.
okay, yeah. Water
That's fine.
counts. Water's still a beverage. Well, then I guess I have 3 also.
Oh,
If we're separating them, I have like 6. So, okay, you
she's the
guys,
drink fairy.
I know. Okay, I'll start with one. It's
Okay.
water. It's water. Okay, Nev also has water. And what else do you have?
So she's finally making an appearance. My wild tonic.
Yay!
I went and got another one.
That
Oh,
bottle is beautiful.
Isn't it? And it's just pretty. And this one is blueberry basil.
ooh. And also, what a
Oh.
comeback story. You know what I
I
mean?
yeah, yeah.
Mhm. It's
She was
also,
gone. She came back.
she is made with honey instead of sugar. So it's a jeune or june instead of a kombucha. I don't know.
Um,
All right. One of my drinks is so one of the last episode on this topic, which is we're back to Elizabeth Packard, was an old fashioned that I got from the On the Rocks brand. So it's like already a pre-made cocktail.
Okay.
I didn't want to go get another beverage. I'm lazy and I wanted to repurpose. So what I did was combine that old fashioned with Coke Zero. So I have Coke Zero because I like to, what I was like, what if it was too strong, you know? And then the combined version, the Coke Zero and the old fashioned together. So I was like, I wonder what it
oh.
will taste like.
Hell
Haven't tried
yeah.
it yet?
It's kind of like just like a different, like rum and Coke, or not rum and Coke, but like whiskey and Coke
Oh,
with
okay.
like a little bit of extra seasoning because it has like the like notes of cherry and stuff from the old fashioned.
Oh,
I
that
actually really
sounds
like
good though.
it.
I was gonna
I
say
like it.
that
Hmm.
that don't sound too bad.
Okay, Tina,
It's so
what do you?
funny that you have a Coke Zero because I actually got the Dr. Pepper Blackberry and
I've
it's
been
Ooh.
like the
wanting to
zero
try
sugar.
that one. Is
This
it
is,
good?
I like it. The blackberry really comes through. My only thing, which this is, it's strange because it's zero sugar. My only thing, and I don't know if it's just this batch that I
Mm.
have, it just tastes a little bit more syrupy, and I feel like it's almost too sweet for
Mm.
me, surprisingly.
Oh,
That's a
And
bummer
so I
then.
don't know if it's just like heavier syrup, but it's good though. It's not bad, but I'm just like,
Hmm.
I wasn't expecting it to be as sweet as it is.
what
And
did they use for the is she talking?
yeah, no,
Oh, okay. I don't
I'm
know what
looking.
it sounds like you're not talking. I don't know. Hold on. I have the wrong setting. There we go. I'm like curious because like I feel like monk fruit is far sweeter, and that's been something that they're utilizing instead
A
of like
lot more.
sugar.
Yeah, they are
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
I do not like monk fruit. I'm
They
always
don't
like,
have a lot of information on here. That's alarming.
I don't drink it for my health benefits.
Because it doesn't have sugar is a thing, but
Yeah, so
and
what
it's
is it?
very like aspartame I feel like too.
Ooh,
Like which I don't mind like diet sodas, but like it like
yeah.
for me like because someone asked me they're like does zero sugar taste better than like diet? And I'm like for me I feel like zero sugar is like the in between of like
Oh.
Coke. Like so if you had a Coke and a Diet Coke, Coke Zero is like the in between where it's like
Mm.
It's the one that's why I like
aspartame
it.
but not diet
Hmm.
like super diety, but it almost
It's in
tastes
the middle.
like like regular Coke, like in the
I
sense.
like to mix them sometimes, like when I go
I do
like to
too.
stores. Okay, we need to
That's interesting.
because
But yeah,
because that way I don't have like the full thing, but it's still more Coke tasting because it's already like three-fourths of the way there.
yeah. And then I have just a the Lipton
Ooh, a
green tea. This
tea.
is one of my favorites. Like this, I'll drink this anytime.
Yes, those are
Like
good. I
the
like them.
Lipton, yeah.
But speaking of tea, I also have a Steez canned antioxidant brew green tea because I
Ooh.
live for variety. These are actually really good. I've
Is
been
it
really
good? Yeah.
into trying canned teas. Yeah. And this one's probably the best one I've had. But I also combine that old-fashioned, like the old-fashioned co pre-made cocktail with that to see what it would
Hmm.
taste like. Because I was like, well, it's already like whiskey with like tea, I feel like could be good. So
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, nice. Well, I love that.
it's so strong.
Is it?
Because it was like super, it was way more full than I anticipated.
You
But I was
make
like,
drinks like Gina. I can't trust Gina. You or Gina now. Make me drinks. Or
um,
Nev,
I
probably.
haven't.
honestly, I'm
I
in a lot
trust
of
them.
pain, so I feel like it cuts it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think when you're hurting, you're like, bit like I have my heating pad, so I'm like, oh no, I'm good. Now I'm like, I've
Yeah.
smoked, I have my drinks.
You're
I,
cozy.
yeah,
You're
I'm
yeah.
good, you know. But
That
sorry, Nev,
would.
I cut you off.
No, you're good. I had the best drink last night. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like this needs a shout out.
Okay.
It's a Diamarcus type of tequila drink, but it was like a smoked whiskey tequila with
Mm.
frozen grapes
Oh,
and rosemary. And it was just, I don't know, so good. But it
it
was named
sounds
after a Greek
nice.
god. I
Oh.
was like, they brought it out in a wine glass. I was like, okay.
Oh.
And it wasn't like sweet. It was like, I felt like elevated.
It sounds fancy.
Yeah,
It
I was
was,
gonna. I love anything elevated because it really does add like a different dynamic and
yes. But
yeah,
I've been
yeah.
thinking about that drink. So if it was a person, I'd probably call him back. So I was like, I have to
Ooh,
share this drink.
that's hilarious. I really like that. So like I said a little earlier, we are back to covering the story of Elizabeth Packard, the lady who her husband sent her to the insane asylum because she talked too much. I like to say it
Same.
like that because it sounds real dramatic, but like genuinely, that's kind of what happened.
Yapping
Um,
Queen.
I know it's me. Where for reference, we use the book "The Woman They Could Not Silence" by Kate Moore, and also um, the habeas corpus page on the Cornell School of Law.
That's a fun word, habeas corpus.
It came up and I was like, I don't know what this means. Because it seemed like a big deal. And I was like, I
Is
don't
it like
know.
something corpse, like something dead?
We will go to it in a minute,
Oh, we
eventually.
learn.
We will learn later.
Oh, okay. I was
Yeah.
like, do
But
I
this
have
is
to?
just like our reference. So that's
Oh,
where we got
okay.
it.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, you have like a whole, I didn't know this, but Cornell does have like a whole page where you could go like learn law things. They're like, this is what this means. And I was like, fascinating.
I love that.
There's so much internet left from
That's a
what
good
Trump has
resource.
removed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
Uh,
so
that man.
yes, when we left Elizabeth, she was in the insane asylum and she had been transferred to the lower wards as punishment because she was initially in like the rich lady insane asylum. And then she was sent down to where all the extra poor people were. And then she's like, I'm not going to let this hateful man get to me. And so
Hell
she
yeah.
cleaned the
Oh,
ladies and cleaned the place and then like took care of everybody. And she was there for like 3 years.
I love that part though.
I know. She was
That
like,
one was
I'm gonna
really
make a
like,
difference.
yeah.
I love her. No, you like will continue to love her. Dr. McFarlane conspired with Theophilus to get her removed from the Jacksonville Asylum because he was tired of her and send her to one that she would never be released from ever, like to give her no option of being free ever.
great.
Um,
Like, because the crazy concept of just letting her out made no sense.
mm-hmm. Well, no, because she's crazy. Why would you put her outside? Theophilus had just showed up to the asylum and to pick up Elizabeth. And he literally dragged her. She said, um, I'm not going to walk to my, next prison. You're gonna have to carry me. The way that she came in, she made them carry her out.
I love
Oh my
that.
God.
And they dragged Elizabeth to the carriage, ready to send her away. So
Wait,
they
they
just
didn't
gave
pick
her.
her up this time?
No, they picked her up and they
Oh,
took
they
her to the
did.
carriage to send her to take her. Like Theophilus came to get her and to send her away to take
Oh,
her somewhere
good.
else.
When you said
Her
dragged her, I was like,
No,
dang,
stubby
he
old
just
but
man.
laid.
yeah, but like he's with her to take her and like
Why is he
the-
still alive?
Theophilus and
Yeah,
McFarlane
for
have
real.
been conspiring to send her to this other asylum, one that she can never get out of.
Oh
And they
my
told her
Oh,
God.
about, yeah, that's
yeah,
how
yeah.
she found out about that. And so he just showed up to take her.
Egg. He has an egg head.
And so at this point though, like she had been living with like freedom and her son would come and take her from the asylum and then let her walk around the town and bring her back. And so now she's just kind of like in this position where she's back under this old man's control and she doesn't know where she's going, you know? So that's where we left her. The patients of the asylum watched as Elizabeth's carriage rolled away. They mourned her departure, while Elizabeth mourned that the one I trusted above all others to defend me against my enemy proved to be the very one to put me in his hands. It finally hit her that Dr. McFarlane had betrayed her. Elizabeth and Theophilus entered the train without speaking a word to each other. She had no idea where they were going, and she sure as hell wasn't going to ask him. She couldn't tell from the landscape exactly where they were. And in the middle of the night, the train slowed down. Elizabeth was terrified. I had no protection, no shield but the Almighty. She meekly followed Theophilus, concentrating on her footsteps as she held her hoop skirts in one hand as she got off the train. Arms enveloped her, squeezed her, and loved her. She realized Theophilus had not taken her to another asylum, but to her cousin, Angeline, and her freedom. Elizabeth spent that evening with Angeline and her husband David, where they welcomed her warmly. Theophilus was allowing her to stay with them under the condition that she never return home to her family. David and Angeline were instructed to keep her and treat her like a madwoman. If she ever does come to see the children, I shall put her in another asylum, is what he said.
But her children love her.
I know.
When does he meet his death?
Yeah. When does he die?
Does he get pneumonia? And like,
Because
that'd be great.
Not
That
anytime soon.
that's how I'd write this
Ew.
story.
Oh, that's terrible.
I'm enraged.
It will get worse.
Oh, good.
Elizabeth was
Thanks.
Wonderful.
grateful. Elizabeth was grateful to have escaped, but couldn't just forget the years of horror she had just lived through. I cried so hard. The next morning after I got here, to think that the bliss of freedom was yet not felt by those I left in bonds. It became Elizabeth's first and chief business to deliver those in bonds. Elizabeth spent her first free days writing letters to the families of her friends from the asylum. She did manage to get help for some of her friends, while many of the families never bothered to respond to Elizabeth's letters. She even wrote to McFarlane calling him my treacherous friend. Elizabeth learned now that she was released. Oh my God. Elizabeth learned now that she was released that from McFarlane's generosity in allowing her to write had been an act of treachery. It was too late before she realized that he never thought it should be published. It was the ultimate betrayal for her. She thought she had found in him one spring pure gushing water in this great Sahara desert of my soul. Now she was livid and wanted to drag their lifeless bodies before the public. Elizabeth was also heartbroken. So like Elizabeth really went from like thinking that McFarland was her best friend and was going to be there and like support her and love her to realize that he like did the ultimate betrayal. That's horrendous. I don't even know what I would do. You know what I mean? Like what could she even do? Anyway.
Yeah. I
Elizabeth,
think that like
oh,
feel
go
of
ahead.
betrayal of that, like I feel like the betrayal of McFarlane was not like way worse than like Theophilus, but like he did her like dirty while
He
she was in
played with her
there.
hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Sinister man.
Mm-hmm.
Sinister.
Like Theophilus is at least kind of like straight to the point where he's like, "Oh, like you know what I mean? Like
You're
you're just
talking too
you're
much.
yeah, yeah." And so we're doing this to where like McFarlane like really like puppeteered her in a sense and like
I bet he hates his mother too.
Probably.
You know, serial killers that are like, I
Hmm.
kill people that remind me of my mom.
That's
This
probably
man
him.
him?
He's not a good person.
Does
But
he
she
die
was,
soon?
no.
Okay. I
Elizabeth was also heartbroken because she had no means to publish her book and no money to even make it home. Elizabeth was in Granville, so she was with her cousin, and it was about 80 miles from Manteno, the town her children were in. She became friends with the neighbors, and they helped her raise $30, which was also, like in today's time, $612. I like that they included it because I was like, $30, you know,
yes.
$2, a penny.
$2.
You can have one. It was more than enough to send her to Manteno as well as cover any legal costs that people were sure to come. Because, like, it's not like, what's his face? The boy. Theophilus is just going to let her be free, you know? He's not going to just let her be crazy and around his kids.
Maybe
This,
not. I don't
he,
know,
no,
man.
because he wants to change, he wants people to think he's like not a piece of shit.
It's a crazy concept to me where people, men or women, are like, I don't want people to think I'm a crazy piece of shit instead of just being like, I don't want to be a
A
crazy piece
crazy
of
piece of
shit.
shit. Yeah.
Like, is like
Maybe
the
don't
facade.
be this
Yeah, just
then.
like if you don't want to be like that, then don't
Then
do
don't be
it.
it.
Crazy.
I don't know. Whatever. So I'm the crazy one.
Yeah.
Elizabeth asked her friends if they would help her publish a pamphlet to help elicit public sympathy and like get her some money. So in Granville, they printed 1,000 copies through their county paper for $10, 204. And so she sold these pamphlets through the post office for a dime a piece. And at this time, it was dangerous for her to return to Manteno, but she needed to be a mother again. She was free, but away from her kids, and it was an unfulfilling existence for her. Because, like, her kids were still little. I think one of them was like 3 years old, like babies.
Oh man, babies.
It was hard for her to leave her cousin and her last friend. Like, she didn't know if she had anyone else in the world because at this point, McFarland is still hiding her letters, hid their letters from her friends to her. So, like, she doesn't think anyone out there is
Oh.
around for her, you know? And she also didn't want to live with Theophilus again and his absolute control over her. But then, she needed to go home. Like, she wanted to be with her kids. So, 4 months after she was released from the asylum on October 20th of 1863, she boarded the train to Manteno. Elizabeth left the train and started her journey on a wet and soggy October morning. She made her way to her old house and ran into old friends, friends that she had written letters to while in the asylum and never received responses from. She knew of McFarland's censorship, however, so she agreed to have lunch with them. And during that lunch, she learned that they had never received any of her letters because Theophilus had ordered McFarland that not a single letter be sent to any of my friends. So like they wouldn't give her any and she couldn't send any out. Her friends, it was a couple and named the Blessings, had staged public speeches, extensive letter writing campaigns, and everything that they could do legally, but there weren't a lot of options for them because it was legal for Theophilus to send his wife to the asylum for being crazy. So, like, there wasn't a
Oh
whole lot
wow.
they could legally do. I mean, it was his right to do that.
Oh damn.
She also learned that what had happened to Theophilus while she was gone.
What
Because so
happened? Tell
she was
me.
gone for 3 years. So
Yeah, what'd he do?
he had left the church 18 months before her release. The
So
ch-
she's been gone together 6 years or just
three,
like
just
okay,
three.
okay, okay. Thank you. I'm tracking. That sounds like a good drink.
It was good. Though it's the Coke one. I like Coke and whiskey. So,
It's pretty good.
hmm oh, I didn't want to buy anything new. And I didn't want to leave the house. So I was like, you know what? This is what we have.
You know what? Hell yeah, an old fashioned, a classic.
I know it's good. So Theophilus had left the church that he was a part of 18 months before she got out. The
Okay,
church itself had split up with the elders blaming Theophilus for the mass exodus of members. It was believed that more people would leave if they didn't ask Theophilus to resign.
good.
Theophilus lost his job and was $4,000 in debt, so he was living off the charity of his friends.
That's like what, 30, 40,000 now? Maybe
Probably, I
more.
mean, yeah, probably more.
Jesus Christ,
Because
dude. How'd
like
you do that?
$30 was 600, so
Well, and your wife was the problem. Okay.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
But she's the one that got fired from her job at the church? Okay. I bet he blamed her for everything because he's got nothing else to do.
I'm sure.
Elizabeth gave her important papers, those of which would help her write her book later, to the Blessings before they drove her to her house. And when they got there, they unloaded her trunk and she walked on in. She saw that her home was in disarray and her daughter had taken over Elizabeth's responsibilities. So, your mom comes home after being in the asylum for 3 years and Elizabeth looks at her daughter and she's like, "My daughter, won't it be pleasant to have someone to relieve you of your responsibilities?"
What'd she
And
say?
then Theophilus says, "No, you ain't wanted here. We get along better without you." He is like a
Ye
miserable old man, okay? He's awful. Like he is as awful as you think he is.
we ain't want you here. Go
Get
on,
out.
get.
She knew that wasn't true. She could see the dirt laying thickly all over the houses, like all over the house and even on their beds.
She was like, this
He,
place is nasty.
yeah. He forbade the children to help her or listen to her, like literally told them not to listen to her 'cause she was crazy, that their mom was
Oh,
crazy. She placed water to boil to clean the walls with, and he took it off the stove and told her that she wasn't going to use his heat. And then she just was like, fine, and used cold water to clean. He's just a
He
menace.
sounds like he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed
He's
every
never
single
woken up
day.
on the right side of the
Yeah,
bed.
yeah. There is no right side, just
Uh-uh.
left. He wakes up on the left every day.
Yeah, he's
Just
pissed about it, everything.
yeah.
It's such a bummer because like Elizabeth's such like not a piece of shit, she's such a decent person.
Yeah, and
He's
he
like
really
the
does. He sounds miserable. Like literally, he
Mhm.
sounds just really miserable. Like, yeah,
Like get
that's
a
what.
hobby.
Yeah.
Take a
erectile
nap, man.
dysfunction ruins relationships.
Exactly.
That's all I got.
I mean, have
Um,
you seen how he looks?
if you
Low
haven't,
testosterone.
He looks like yeah, like he's just not happy with life.
I don't think he's ever been happy. It's Theophilus.
Yeah.
The name alone, I'm like, imagine being named Theophilus and then looking like that.
I shan't. Thank you. Theophilus locked her clothes in a closet and refused to give them to her. And she just like barely spoke to him. I'm not even gonna give this man the time of day, which I wouldn't either.
Obviously.
In mid-November, a set of keys went missing, and Theophilus assumed it was Elizabeth that stole them. He searched her clothes and her dresser, the
What
entire
clothes?
house. I know. He wouldn't give her her good clothes. He kept all her good clothes away from her.
Oh my
Ah,
God,
He's such a
dude.
menace. The entire house was searched. Even the embers of the stove fire were checked for the keys. I know, he's so extra. Theophilus lost the little sense he had. He was worried that Elizabeth was going to do something with the keys that she didn't have.
Okay, tinfoil man.
I know.
Chill
He's
out.
like, she's going to do something suspicious with these keys. I think it wasn't
Paranoid.
even that he thought she was going to do something. I think it was more like he thought she was going to do anything, like anything, at any moment was going to betray him.
She can't do anything but breathe
I know. And even that's too much, I think, for him.
because he fucked up and he knew it.
Yeah.
Guilty
Well, it's
conscience.
because everyone likes her better than him. I think that's his thing. I think he was over it. He decided to lock her in the nursery and then got out his nails and nailed shut the windows. He cut her off from her friends as well because he felt they were a bad influence on her. He even wrote Dr. McFarland because he wanted to readmit Elizabeth. Elizabeth and her friends complained of his abuses against her, but there wasn't much they could do because he was her husband. Leading psychiatrists believed that most husbands had the right to confine their wives to the house if they were mad. Theophilus's plan was to keep Elizabeth locked up, then send her to Jacksonville. But in December of 1868, McFarland wrote back. He said that he and the Board of Trustees refused to readmit Elizabeth because she was incurable. So Theophilus moved on to Plan B. I love that. They're like, she's too
he
much for
has
us.
another. He had a backup.
Incurable.
He said, in case this don't work, I gotta think of something else.
Mm-hmm.
He really like there's no way that he ever loved her or like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
For you to
She
think
was
that deep into
yeah,
things, yeah.
she was a little prize piece. But then when people liked her more than him, he didn't like that. So then he started to resent her, decided
Yeah.
to get rid of her.
Mm-hmm.
Does
Yep.
she poison him or is she too good for that? She's such a sweet girl.
She's better than that,
Damn
I
it, I'm
think. I
not.
know. I know.
Like he's the sole reason why comparison is the thief of joy is even a thing.
Oh, he's so mad about
You
everything.
know, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Theophilus lost the little sense he had. He was worried that Elizabeth was going to do something with the keys that she didn't have. So he decided to lock her in the nursery and then get out his nails and nail shut the windows. He cut her off from her friends as well because he felt that they were a bad influence. Oh, yes, we got that part. Okay. Theophilus's plan was to keep Elizabeth locked up, then send her back to Jacksonville, but in December of 1868, McFarland wrote back. He said that he and the Board of Trustees refused to readmit Elizabeth because she was incurable. So Theophilus
I
moved on to Plan B. Yes,
like
because
how
this
he
was
was
when
like,
Christina said,
not this bitch
oh,
again.
I know, he did not want her. Yeah, because then Christina was like, I love that he had a Plan B.
yeah, he was prepared.
She
He had already received a certificate of insanity from Dr. McFarlane when he took Elizabeth from the asylum. And now all he needed was the second certificate to send her
oh,
away.
what's the other certificate? Another one that says she's crazy?
Yep, so he needs another doctor to certify that, yep, she is crazy.
Certifiably crazy. Hmm.
Times two. He brought a doctor to talk to Elizabeth. Mr. Packard told me she was insane, and my prejudices were that she was insane. But when he met her, nothing indicated insanity, so he refused to sign the certificate.
Let's
Then
fucking
Theophilus
go.
found another doctor because he
Of
was like,
course.
this one's stupid, obviously.
He likes women. Wrong.
Dumb. The
You're
second
supposed to
doctor.
be on my side.
Exactly.
What happened to bro code?
I scrolled too hard. I don't know. My computer is so insane today.
I said, you want to scroll? We're going all the way down.
I have to like keep clicking. Like it's 1843.
That's okay. We'll take it's okay.
Okay. So Theophilus found another doctor. The second doctor to examine Elizabeth found her perfectly sane until they talked about religion, where he found her somewhat deranged or excited on the subject. By the beginning of the new year, Elizabeth still found herself locked in the nursery. Surprisingly, though, when her friends came to visit her, Theophilus allowed them to visit, even though Elizabeth was still locked in the nursery. So he like opened up the lock to let her friends in.
Oh,
They found no fire in the
Okay.
room on the cold January day. Theophilus was still limiting her resources. He had also planned on already sending her to the Massachusetts asylum very soon. On January 12th, Theophilus opened the door to a court clerk handing him a legal writ, a writ of habeas corpus. I had no idea what a writ of habeas corpus was, and the book
Tell
wrote
me.
it like it was an aha moment, so I Googled.
Okay.
And according to the Cornell University law page, it is Latin for that you have a body. That you
Oh,
have the body.
I have the body.
You have the body.
I
A
am the
writ
body.
of habeas corpus is used to bring a prisoner or other detainee, like in example, institutionalized mental patient, before the court to determine if the person's imprisonment or detention is lawful. So it's like you have to prove, like they're unfairly locking you up. You have to prove that you have a reason to be locking this person up.
so
Okay.
does that make it more difficult? Like it's making it more difficult to do that, or
So it's
Yes,
like,
like so if
yeah.
you if we just locked up Christina for fun and
Hmm.
we were like it's because she's crazy, you have to prove that you have a reason to be locking this person up. You can't,
oh,
and you
okay.
have to go to court to prove that. It's
So
like I
somebody got sick and tired of
yeah,
women just being put in there for no reason.
exactly.
Good.
If Elizabeth was at the asylum, that would have been considered legal detainment because she was being held there by a doctor, so like a medical professional saying she's sick, she needs to be here, right?
Okay.
But she was being held in her legal home by Theophilus, who was not a doctor.
Which is
He,
kidnapping.
yeah, so it's By locking her up without any medical knowledge in her own home, this was potentially unlawful. So then this
Yes.
allowed them to have this writ to finally get the trial to prove that she wasn't crazy.
Hell
Because
yeah.
remember before she wasn't allowed to have this trial because she was a married woman. She didn't have any rights.
So is she not a, oh, did they get divorced?
No, she's still a married woman, but
Oh,
because he's now locked her up unlawfully
oh,
versus
good.
sending her the lawful route to the asylum,
Thank God. Stupid
she's
asshole.
able to elicit this writ.
Yes.
So Elizabeth had known that if she took the keys and hid them in the dirt under her bedroom window, that Theophilus would lock her up legally, like illegally lock her up. So like that
Oh,
would
she
allow
played that
her
mouse.
she that allowed her to get her friends to get the legal writ to save her from imprisonment.
Hell
She
yeah, girl.
So when she was like running around cleaning the house, she had found letters hidden in the nursery that Theophilus had left in that room. She read through them and it was like correspondence between Dr. McFarland and Theophilus, as well as the superintendent of that Massachusetts asylum. And that Massachusetts asylum had already agreed to admit her as a case of hopeless insanity, so she was going to be there forever.
Oh,
So
hell no.
he'd already fixed it, so she was going to be locked up. So that's why she was like, I don't have any other option. I gotta play it, or else I'm gonna be locked up forever.
Go her.
So the admit date was days away, and out of desperation, in her last hope before Theophilus locked her up in the asylum, she got the attention of a stranger who walked by every day and beckoned him to the window. So when he finally came over, she pushed a small note in the crack of the window and asked him to take it to her friend Sarah. And that got the ball rolling. So then Theophilus had been ordered by a judge, Charles Starr with two R's, to defend his detainment of Elizabeth on January 12th at 1 p.m. But the thing is, he got this paperwork on January 12th at like 10 a.m.
Ah! Snail mail.
I know.
I thought that was coffee for a second, but then I remembered it's not. I was
It's
like,
Coke.
you're chugging that coffee. That's
It could be.
crazy.
Yeah. So the admit date was days away, and out of desperation and her last hope, oh yes. So she got the ball rolling. Yes. Da-da-da-da.
So far, so
Char-
good.
Charles Starr. They rushed goodbye, and so Elizabeth hugged her kids and told them goodbye because they were about to go to court. And they headed on their way. Elizabeth and Theophilus rode 12 miles to the court.
They rode
There,
together.
I mean, they live together. They both have to be there. It's a court for both of them.
That's way too civil for me.
I know, like they have to hang out. I think I took a picture. Oops.
That's too civil for me, though, dude. I'd be like, no, you can fucking walk or I don't care, raw back a horse, but you're not getting in this
You're
carriage
not
with
getting in here
me.
with me. So they found a large crowd enraged and seething. Like everyone hates Theophilus.
Good.
They both had lawyers there, with Elizabeth's lawyer, Stephen Moore, agreeing to defend her without any expectation of fee or reward. And he was like known to do this to like help people, like be a good person and not be a complete piece of shit.
Good.
Theophilus presented his written response, which was full of the documentation he had used to initially send Elizabeth to the asylum. He denied the charge of imprisonment, but admitted that he used restraint over her on account of her insanity. So Judge Charles Starr told him to prove it. He said, "You're saying she's crazy and that's why you locked her up. Prove it, bitch."
Prove it. Where are the facts?
So finally, Elizabeth got her day in court. And this was truly her last chance to stay out of the asylum. Because honestly, if Theophilus wins, like,
She's fucked.
She should
Yeah.
have
yo,
just killed him slowly. Damn, poison was in everything back then.
just kill him and it will
Oh,
solve every problem.
Aqua Tofana.
exactly. Arsenic,
Yeah.
like
Wasn't that a TikTok thread? Like,
it
I
was
think
for
so.
a while.
what?
And then I watched the Bailey Sarian
Yes. Oh my gosh, with
video on
poison.
that. Yeah.
I haven't
Hell
watched
yeah.
it.
You would like her.
You would
No,
like
I
her.
haven't watched that one. I love
Oh,
I love
Yeah.
Bailey.
I
I
like her
can't do
dark
makeup.
her
Yeah.
but she does a dark story like history, a dark history of like
Yes,
random things. It's great.
it's pretty good. I've been wanting to do dark history of like Hollywood stuff. I think that'd be fun. Specifically, The Wizard of Oz is my
There's a lot on the Wizard of
I
Oz out
know.
there,
Wizard
so
of
I've
Oz is
heard.
creepy. I think it'd be fun. But I'm trying to be more empowering women. So that's my plan. Okay, so my plan for the year is to finish out Elizabeth, which I feel like is pretty good for right now because it feels very dystopian. And it's also like, this is what we used to have. So maybe we should not give away our rights so quickly, everyone.
Yeah. Not for eggs that are cheap, because that didn't
No,
happen.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, you guys think we're feminists and we're radical, but it's like there's a reason.
It's just like saying, like, sorry, I'm thinking with my thinking brain.
I'm thinking
I
with
think
any thoughts.
also what like I wish people would just understand is like if something works for you, that is okay. But it's just like
Yeah.
I don't know how hard that is, I guess, for people to grasp. It's like if I don't want to do that, I shouldn't have to. If you want to do that, that's fine.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
I
like
don't care what you're doing.
yeah, like I really don't
But
understand what people don't understand about that.
don't impede on other people either. Like, even if it's religious, like, it's religious for you. Who are
But
Yeah.
not
you
for
to question?
me.
Who are you to question your God's divine timing? Like, you don't know why I'm doing my life. Like, if your God created me, why are you questioning him?
Yeah,
Obviously, it's
he
for a
obviously
reason.
wanted me to be unhinged as fuck. This
And
is why
have
I'm
more than
here.
two brain cells that rub against each other. Like, fuck.
Exactly.
Good God.
Anyway, okay. So Elizabeth had her day in court, and finally, Elizabeth had her day in court to prove that she was not crazy. And this truly was her last chance to stay out of the asylum. The judge assembled a jury of 12 men, while
Oh,
Theophilus's lawyers objected.
yeah, me
He, they,
too. Wait, what?
yeah, because they were like, it's only supposed to be one judge. The judge is supposed to say she's crazy or not. And then the judge was like, I don't care. I'm still doing this jury.
Hell yeah,
And
but it's
half
all
the
men,
jury
boo.
was also, I think at that time, women could not be on a jury.
That's dumber than a
We
box of
don't have
rocks.
rights, Nev.
Oh yeah, I'm still property.
You have no rights.
Nay.
Boo.
Okay. I'm gonna save that and make it a commercial for our podcast. Just me going, you have no rights, Nev. Anyway, so yeah, but it wasn't like the jury was just like people that were on Elizabeth's sides. Half of them were like the same religion that Theophilus was. Like it wasn't like they were all just like real liberal people. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
Weird flex.
I know, inclusivity. So Theophilus's lawyers were mad and Theophilus was mad. Elizabeth was his wife and he could do as he pleased.
Stay mad, the judge said. Stay mad.
Literally, the judge dismissed their objection and carried on. He said, "It's my court, bitch."
Yeah, like
Theoph
you're not in charge here. It's me.
exactly.
What you thought?
Theophilus began
Overruled.
his case first. He had been collecting documentation since 1860 because, he had sent her away. And he needed to plan before he sent her away.
Oh yeah. Just what the fuck, my
I know,
guy?
he's such a mess. He called the physician who had initially provided the certificate that allowed Elizabeth to be sent to the asylum. So the first guy. His name was Dr. Christopher Knott. Dr. Knott had thought her partially deranged on the matter of religion, but he did not actually know much about her current mental state because he had known her like at least 4 years ago. He was not a great starting witness. They were like, you don't know anything
Clearly.
about now.
Yep.
And also she spent some time in the asylum and then was sent out. So did she not get cured? Then why did they send her out?
Yeah. So are you
Are
incompetent
you
and
a
don't
bad
know?
doctor?
You don't know how to tell if somebody's crazy and you just let crazy people out, or is she sane?
But that same doctor also said that three-fourths of the religious community are insane in the same matter, in my opinion. And so then everyone in the crowd was like, hey, wait a minute.
He's like, you're all delulu as fuck.
Exactly. But he also felt that Elizabeth was not that sick and she just needed rest and she would have recovered from it, right?
He has a lot of feelings.
He does have so many feelings.
Lots of thoughts there.
It reminds me of what's his face. It just reminds me of what's his face going from the court case of Lizzie Borden, where the doctor was
Oh.
like, they were cold, but I didn't take anyone's temperature, even though I had the thermometer. And it's like, why do you keep
What?
reminding us of this? You don't have the thermometer, just chill.
It's okay.
It's fine. The witness definitely did not support the 3-year incarceration or lifelong commitment. He like literally said that he felt like confinement was going to make her worse.
Oh,
He was
I
also
like
grilled.
him.
I know, but
The defense liked him.
he's so weird. He also was grilled on Elizabeth's hatred of her husband, where he responded, "Insanity produces ill feelings towards even the best of friends, particularly family."
Oh,
Which
well, I
makes
mean,
sense.
it does. And also, I kind of like this doctor a lot now. Like,
He went
okay.
on to say that confinement in any shape or restraint would have made her worse. I did not think she was a bad case, only required rest.
Oh,
Then they called Dr. J.W. Brown, the man who pretended to be a sewing machine salesman.
that is okay. Who's insane? Is that not crazy?
That is crazy. I feel like that's so extra. Like you're going through all these hoops to be like, "See, she's crazy." And it's like, "You're not crazy for doing all this shit and pretending?"
And also, if a salesman came up to my house, I'd be a little off-putting too. I'm not trying to have him come in and kill me.
No, the part that I think is weird is that she was locked in the nursery when this sewing machine salesman was let
Oh,
into her room.
oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, I would be
So
crazy
like
too.
literally in the book she's like she felt weird about it.
As she should,
Me
dude.
too. I would
I
feel
thought you were
suspicious.
gonna say he pretended to be a sewing machine, and I thought you were gonna leave it at that. And I was
Dude,
like, dang.
imagine.
Whenever you were like, "Is that not crazy?" and I was gonna be like, "Yeah, who does that?"
Christina, that kills me. I kind of want to make that a sticker. I don't know how I would look, just like a sewing machine, and it has a quote, "Don't look at me."
I'm like, if you're pretending to be that's just called hand stitching. Like, you don't gotta, you know.
No special name, honey.
Yeah,
Christina, that's so good. Not
call
only is he
it what it
pretend,
is.
okay, because I was envisioning him being like the sewing machine, and
Well,
you're
that's
like,
what I thought.
he's like,
I was with you, Karina. I was like cosplaying as a sewing
no,
machine.
no, he's working, Nev, he's working. Oh, okay,
I can stitch really fast. You just have to time me. Okay, sorry.
focus. He went on to say that confinement in any shape or restraint would have made her worse. I do not think she was a bad case, that she only required rest. So then they called the guy that was pretending to be a sewing machine salesman, not pretending to be a sewing machine. He stated, "I had no difficulty arriving to the conclusion in my mind that she was insane."
Oh, well, sure, sure.
Yeah,
How much
you're the
she
one
pay
pretending
you?
to be a sewing machine, so who is the crazy one?
Who's the crazy one now?
Exactly. If you're saying anything in that voice, Nev, I'm gonna assume it's you, though. Like, who is it now? The
Not
first
me.
subject we conversed about was sewing machines. Yeah,
Oh,
because you're pretending to be a sewing machine salesman.
because you were tricking her?
Yeah, exactly. She showed no signs of insanity on that subject, but on religion, she said she was the personification of the Holy Ghost. Her lawyer asked the doctor if he was a theologist, and Dr. Brown noted that he was not. And that's when her lawyer said, "Because the idea was a novel one to you, you pronounced her insane." And I was like, damn. Elizabeth also claimed to be better than her husband, according to Dr. Brown.
Well, it doesn't take much, so
I know, literally. The
that's true.
idea was insane at that time when the superiority of white men was thought to be scientific fact. When Theophilus's lawyers took over, they asked Dr. Brown why he thought she was crazy. His list was extensive and including, quote, disliking being called insane. She
Oh,
she failed to illuminate me and fill me with light.
what? I didn't know that was a prerequisite.
Yeah, well, Nev, if you're not filling with me with light, then what are you doing out in the public?
Yeah, you're right.
That's on
Sorry.
you.
Sorry your dick didn't get hard from looking at me. My apologies. That's how I
Oh,
took that.
I think my therapist is going to listen to this one day and be like, she needs help. She, I'm so excited she listened to my podcast. Anyway,
Did she do it for research purposes or because
probably. She's like,
uh
she needs help.
what is she talking
She said it
about?
was funny and she went to her husband and told him about her front butt. So I felt like that was fun.
It is fun.
Anyway,
You are funny.
thank you. I honestly, Josh and I were talking about it yesterday where I was like, I feel like I got a good voice for this. Real
You
talk.
do.
Because like I'll listen to our podcast and I'll be like, "Oh my God, that's me."
Prideful.
Anyway, so also Elizabeth's ill feelings towards her husband were another reason why he was like, "She's definitely crazy." But he
Um,
locked her up.
I would be feeling some type of way too if I
Her
was locked
belief,
up.
her belief that something bad was going to happen to her was the
Yeah.
reason she was crazy, but also Theophilus kept threatening her about locking her up.
I
So
so her mental health was being attacked and she was living in fear the whole
So it was
time.
like a normal response to a threat.
Oh, absolutely, I think. But I'm also crazy. So
I'm not right. The crowd was angry, and and the more he talked, the angrier they became.
Sorry, you said that so nonchalant. Like I felt that though. But you were like, "Oh,
It's because Christina,
I'm
your
not."
face. Like I looked over and looked at your face, and then I looked up and saw Nev's face and was like, "Yep." I feel like in on paper I'm the most reasonable, but in real life I am the most unhinged, and I just keep becoming more and more. It's so
yeah,
fun though for me.
that's all that matters. As long as you're entertained, hell yeah.
I entertain myself. I amuse me most of the time. And then I am like, everyone needs to hear about this. I'm gonna send it in a snap.
I love it.
I just get distracted, but I like it. I think it's fun.
It is
So
fun.
the crowd was angry, and the more he talked, the angrier they became. When he walked off, everyone just laughed at him, the doctor. But also he said they were all crazy for being religious, so like you buried yourself on that one.
Oh, poor guy. I liked him.
I know. There were more than just doctors as witnesses, however. One witness, Dr. Abijah Dole, told a story about how one day he found Elizabeth in her night clothes with an unruly river of hair, disheveled and her face looking wild. He gave the implication that if this is how she looked, imagine what was happening in her mind. And it's like, okay, you came to her
Okay.
house. They had like called him, I think as a doctor or something. Like
And
they
she
called him
was
to come.
locked in a room, right? Oh, that's what that was.
Yeah, so they just showed up and and also he showed up to her house.
No one said, "Hey, I'm coming over." Like sometimes
Yeah,
my hair's
like
in a ponytail and I'm wearing my PJs from the night before. Don't show up
because I'm in my
unannounced.
house.
Yeah, stop showing up unannounced.
Exactly. He felt that Elizabeth's influence over the. Oh, she took me by the hand and led me to the bed, where Libby, their daughter, was lying in the bed moaning and moving her head. And Elizabeth called Mr. Packard a devil. He felt that guy, Abijah, felt that Elizabeth's influence over the child had caused her to become deranged.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And after
Believe the
some
man.
questioning, did admit that she was actually sick at that time and they got
Oh,
better after
but
her illness was over. So
oh,
like he walked in and was like, the kid looks weird. It's probably because Elizabeth is crazy and her influence is too much on this kid. And it's like, no, it's because she's sick and got
you
over her illness.
fucking idiot. Cool. Idiot.
He literally said, I knew she was crazy. She would not leave the church unless she was insane.
Okay.
Let me see what my Ring camera is doing because I keep hearing barking. Oh, I forgot there's a movie on. But also in my house, you never know because the neighbors are crazy. Oh
Yeah,
my
that's
God,
true.
guys, I came home the other day and the neighbor's car was getting towed out of the driveway.
Was it repoed?
I think so because it was
He's
like,
in jail, isn't he?
Well, no, because it was just the son. It wasn't the dad. It was just the son that got arrested.
Oh.
Oh man, that's rough, dude.
Oh, I guess I didn't. I thought it was just like a man that lived in that the
It's a man and like his two kids and like
Oh
there's a
yeah, because you said
lady.
there was a teenage daughter, right? Or a teenage son
Hmm.
Oh, I
or
thought it was a
something.
trap house this whole time.
I think it is.
I thought it was just a bunch of
But like
youthful
there's like a
idiots.
man there that lives there. Like he lives there
And he
and
has a
like
family? That's not okay behavior. Not
well
kosher.
because it was like 5 in the morning and SWAT was calling all of them out and it was this grown ass fucking man, his kid, and then like at one point I was like, is that a 7-year-old child? But it was the girl.
Oh,
She was super little and so I was like, oh
oh.
shit, it's just a teenage girl.
It's that's a big difference.
And so for a while, you would see like trucks drive or cars drive by, and this kid with an obvious fucking like bracelet on his ankle monitor. Like you could see him just be at the edge of the property and like talk to people in their cars and stuff. And we're
Oh,
just like,
dumb,
I'm just like,
dumb,
what is
dumb.
wrong with you guys? Just stop doing crazy shit. And then 2 days ago, they got like a really cute car. It was like another big like suburban like car, a Cadillac, and then 2 days later I came home early and it was getting taken. So I'm kind of like,
Hmm.
well, obviously we make poor decisions. It's not my house. I don't care. It was funny because I texted Evan and was like, they're taking the new car, and then I said, wait, it's not our house, it's the neighbors. Let me clarify. Because we just got a Highlander, so I was like, oh, by the way, it's not our car, it's the neighbor's
That's a
car.
good distinction to have.
Yeah.
Yes.
He gets that message while he's out of town. He's like, "What?"
I know. Well, I did text him and go, I got in a fight with your sister on the internet. Sorry. And he was like, I knew it was gonna happen. It just was a matter of time.
He's like, "No surprises there."
Mm-mm. He knows who I am. He knows who he married.
Yeah, that's
Anyway,
right.
they did also include as evidence Dr. McFarland's reports on Elizabeth while she was in the asylum. He said, of the existence of insanity, I have no question. The officers of the institution were satisfied that she could not be cured. But luckily for Elizabeth, she did have her own witnesses as well as her own testimony. They presented Elizabeth's essays from Bible class that she read to the jury. This was huge at a time when it was rare to see women speaking in public. Women
Oh,
preaching was an action that could lead them to fall into shame and dishonor.
yep.
I do be speaking a lot, and I'm always in shame and dishonor, so that makes sense.
Well, and Colton's grandma told me one time that in the Bible it says that women are meant to be teachers, not preachers, and men were meant to be preachers. And I'm like, that's literally the same thing, just a different title.
Just come
So,
Yeah, I
the
was
lady
like,
that
is not
talks
a
to the
teacher
crows.
talking? Which of your teachers sat in the back and never made a comment?
well, and so I guess like preaching sermon, but like, women would like read the Bible as it's written to their children and stuff, but they weren't allowed to preach sermons, which still
Oh,
I'm like, it's all nuanced. It's not all nuanced.
exactly. No, that's
Is
weird.
that the grandma that talks to the crows?
That is,
Okay.
yes. And the spirits, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
She's called Colton before and been like, I had a dream about you, Bubby. And we'd be making a big life choice. And she'd be like, the crows told me that you're making the right choice and you need to trust yourself. And I'm like,
Is that
all
Connie?
right. No,
Oh,
Ruby.
and Connie. Oh, Ruby. Okay.
And Ruby too, though. She'd be like, Nevada's a witch. And I'm like, I'm the witch? Lady.
Ma'am, yeah.
If that's not the cauldron calling the
Takes
pot
one
black.
to know one, ma'am. Like,
Exactly. You're over here having premonitions.
yeah, yeah.
Dude, my mom is always seeing somebody. And it was weird
See?
because it wasn't until she would. My mom has dreams, and if my mom dreams about you, you're dead.
No, no, I don't
You
like
died.
that.
Yikes.
That's
And if you know
insane.
what's weird though, my sister can tell you if you're pregnant before you know you're pregnant.
Oh, that's a cool trick.
For
She
real?
told my mom when my mom was a kid, like when my mom was pregnant with my brother, she looked at him and goes, "You have a baby boy in your belly."
All right, crazy lady. I love
And
it.
so when my cousin was pregnant, my sister hugged her and was like, "Oh, you're pregnant." And she hadn't told anybody yet. My sister knows. That's
Like
one of my
as an
Got a
biggest fears.
adult?
sen
Yeah.
Like as an adult, she did that. Like,
Yes.
or like, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like,
She
so
did it. Yeah,
that
because you
is
know how
wild.
kids know
Yeah.
shit, but like as an adult, she did that. And I think that's why for me, I've been like, oh, maybe I should really start focusing on my plant magic. My mom is the same. Like when my mom told me about the plants, I was like, maybe I should really look into this.
Didn't your mom, I was thinking about this, that
She's
I'm
a
going
creep.
off on a tangent, but wasn't
Same.
it you that told me that your mom had that like haunted doll that kept coming back?
No, it was my doll. It was my
Oh,
doll.
Your
okay,
It
okay.
was
haunted doll.
mine.
Wonderful.
Have you ever seen the
Because
big
I
comfy
remember you said
couch?
she threw
Yep.
it away. And
Do you
then
know
you're,
that doll? That doll in the big comfy couch? Molly?
Yes. Yes.
One day my mom bought me one from a yard sale.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell no. Both.
No, because it was my favorite show. And she goes, I remember you love this. And this was around the same time I was living in the house that was like three houses down from Christina's. So we
hmm
would hang out with each other all the time, right?
Which is weird because I never felt anything in your house. Like, you know what I mean?
And
Like,
well, in that house, I that's where I've experienced the most like creepy shit in
yeah.
that house. But I recently I've discovered that when you have your period is when you're your most like when you start getting your period, you're very open to like visions and such. So
Yeah.
like that makes more sense that I would have been more open to a little bit more, in between stuff.
Opening
And
your portals
I
because you live in
know
the in between.
I kind of do. I think that's the part where I've been like, okay, let's stop like beating around the bush about this. Like I really need to start working on it. And that's kind of what I've been wanting to do this year, work on the podcast and do that. But anyway, so at that house, we had a lot of experiences. It was a weird house. And that doll, my mom got it at a yard sale, so who knows what it was, but I remember putting it in the closet because it scared me so bad. Just being around it scared me. And I always
Really?
try to throw it away and I found it. Yeah, it was a creepy ass doll. Like I didn't want to be in the same room as it. And around the same time I had that doll, my mom and I woke up at like 11 at night because
Ooh.
we heard something shattering in the kitchen. And it sounded like something broke, like a big glass, and all the water came out, and it sounded sketchy. And we both walked out and we were like, "You heard the same thing, right?" And she was like, "Yeah, but I don't know what broke." And we never found what broke. And then
Hmm.
after that, I would hear my mom's my mom calling for me, but never seeing her. She was never awake,
Yeah.
but I would
That's
hear her
wild.
calling. And then one time we were sitting in the backyard talking to the neighbors, and the neighbors were like, "Who's in your window?" And my mom and my dad were at work, so there was nobody else in the house. And me, my brother, and my sister were outside, and there was no one else in the window. There shouldn't have been anyone else in the house. It was fucking weird. And
Uh,
so
How did you get rid of the doll eventually?
I don't I think I threw it away because
And
I
it stayed
by
away
fire.
that
yeah,
time.
it creeped me the fuck out. I
You just
couldn't.
sent that ghost to live in the landfill.
It's like,
No,
what the hell am I
Nev,
supposed to do
it
here?
creeped me out so bad. I have never been so scared of something. Um, even like okay, so you know the house. I don't think you ever went to that house, Christina, where we were in Sherwood before we moved to our Cabot house. Um,
No, I don't think so.
yeah. So in that house,
I
I
thought you lived in
always
Sherwood.
yeah, I did. And I always felt like somebody was watching me in the living room. Like I wouldn't ever feel comfortable like messing around with Evan in the living room because I felt like I was being watched. It creeped me out. And so one day I was working nights and I woke up in the middle of the day and was like, I felt someone sit at the end of my bed and was like, I remember waking up and being like, I have to work tonight. I am not doing this. You need to stop. I'm not doing
This
this
is
shit.
not for
I was
me.
pissed. I was like, I have to work. I'm not dealing with this. You need to go.
I need rest. I'm not trying to be scared, okay? I need to sleep.
Exactly.
Please let me sleep.
After that, I never felt it again, but I literally felt it sit at the end of my bed and was like,
Like the pressure. Yeah, yeah.
yes, I literally felt my
Hell
bed
no.
change. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I remember being livid, like, I'm not doing this. You need to get it together. Like,
No, that was so I'm sorry. I know that we need to continue, but
I know it's fine.
Diana sent me like a TikTok like a while ago, like a few months ago. But it was basically of like a little girl, and she was obviously telling her mom that there was, a ghost that was like a little ghost girl visiting her, right? And the ghost girl kept telling her like, "Oh, like come out and play, right? Whatever." She's a kid. And then like the little girl's like, "I can't, like it's nighttime."
I'm dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, so she goes and she's telling her mom about this, right? And I guess like progressively as like the days and nights go on, this little ghost girl outside her windows like getting frustrated. Like she's like, "You need to come outside and play with me. Like you don't need to listen to your mom. Like it's okay." And this little girl is like, "I can't do that." And so the mom on her side, she goes, "You don't think I'm scared?" Like my daughter coming and telling me all this. And so she was like, finally, I got fed up. And she goes, and I told my daughter, she was like, "You need to tell her that um you don't want to play with her and that she needs to go away." And so the little girl, like the next night, and she the same thing, like she's banging, like the ghost is mad. She's banging on her window, telling her daughter to go play outside. And she looks at her and she was like, "You need to go away." And she was like, "We are not friends." And that little girl, she said that the mom asked if she hadn't heard about it in a few days. So she asked her daughter what happened. And she goes, "I told her what you said." And she looked at me and she was like, she said the ghost literally said to her, "Okay, like when people tell me that, like I have to go. So like you won't hear from me anymore." And then the comments
Oh,
was like, "Not a ghost, uh, respecting boundaries."
Hell yeah, dude.
I was just like, that would have been me as a mom. Like at first I would have been like, this is kind of scary, but then eventually I'll be like, okay, you just gotta tell her what's up because I'm not gonna be dealing with this.
That's
Like
right.
I don't got the
hell
time.
no.
I do
Like
not have the
if
time.
I'm not ready for it, mom, there's a ghost in my closet because I am the mom. I have to go not be afraid and look in the closet. I can't be afraid of the dark. That's
I
great.
had to pretend to punch Easton's bed, and I think it was just him imagining, but he was like, "Yeah, there's monsters under there," and I was just sitting, fucking, did I get him? You know?
Um,
Hell
okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna make this last disclaimer and then go on so we can be done with this episode. But because there's not a lot left. That's the part that I'm like,
Okay.
I'm okay with rambling on. I'm just saying there's not a lot left. But my friend Joe told me about how he stood up for his transgender son. And I was like, because you're just talking about beating up the monsters for your kid, and I feel like that's the equivalent is like, because he stood up to him and his kids went bowling with their grandparents, and
Oh,
they
nice.
dead named him and put his dead name on the bowling, like what your name is.
Mhm.
And so Joe got mad and was like, I think somebody made a comment too, so it wasn't just like out of the
Yeah.
blue, but it was like,
Yeah.
and he like stood up for his kid, lost his shit, and took his kids and was like left his parents to find their own way home.
Nice.
And he goes, I feel like I shouldn't have lost it like that. But I was like, you know what though? Like you're there for your son and
Yeah,
you're
He's
that
gonna
supporting your
remember
kid.
that forever.
they
Like,
were
Exactly.
being micro-aggressive and then aggressive
Yes.
aggressive, then you meet it. Like, I'm no, we're not tolerating that. And you want to be like that, then I'm not doing nice things for you.
and that's my thing too, is like once you bring me out of character,
Oh hell
I
yeah.
hope you know that like
Like we're fucking
that
done.
never, yeah, like that should never happen
I
again.
think honestly that's why I kind of lost it yesterday because I usually don't post a lot of I mean I okay on my Instagram story it do be rebellious
Yeah.
but on Facebook I typically don't like post shit like that aggressively
Yeah.
and I think that's why I was like I'm so done and I felt real like I this has been like on the back burner brewing for years and so I've been like you know what ma'am. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay, guys,
I
let's
have
finish
it
the
then.
Sorry.
episode. No, it's fine. I'm trying to recenter us. Okay, because there's not a 10 left. They presented, luckily for Elizabeth, she also had her own witnesses, and she didn't just have to rely on all these doctors saying she was crazy. So they presented Elizabeth's essays from Bible class that she read to the jury. This was huge at a time when it was rare to see women speaking in public. Women preaching was an action that could lead them to fall into shame and dishonor. Okay, yeah, we covered this one. But Elizabeth was a mesmerizing speaker who drew in all eyes and all ears. It was a show-stopping performance. Her friends, the Blessings, both testified on her behalf, with Mrs. Blessing describing in detail the cruelty of Theophilus, including the lack of fire in the midst of a terrible cold winter, locked doors, and banned friends. I'm glad her
All
friends showed up
right.
for her.
Yes.
On January 18th, she noticed that Theophilus had not shown up in court. It was the day that they were calling their last witnesses and doing closing arguments. Then they left Elizabeth's fate up to 12 jurymen. After 7 minutes, the jury returned. We, the undersigned, having heard the evidence in the case, are satisfied that Elizabeth P.W. Packard is sane. In in her head, when Elizabeth heard the verdict, she said she felt simply a grateful joy.
Oh my
But
gosh,
like
she deserves
imagine,
so much.
I know.
She
I
deserves
would
so
cry.
much. I would too.
In her head, yeah, okay, she had a grateful joy. It was signed by the judge that Elizabeth be relieved of all restraint incompatible with her condition as a sane woman. So she was free. Elizabeth thought only of her children and wanted to see them as soon as possible. She thanked her
Aw.
counsel, I know, and turned to leave when she was handed a letter. It was a letter from Theophilus.
Oh my fucking God.
He had received warning that there were plots against him. So he ran away on Saturday night and he was taking the children with him. I would like to remind everyone listening that this is a true story of a woman's life. Yeah.
Who's crazy now?
She rushed to their house, but when she walked in, it was transformed and all their stuff was gone, including the children. I am thrown adrift at 47 years of age upon the cold world with no place I can call home, is what Elizabeth said. She moved in with her friends, the Hanfords, and she tried to figure out what to do. She did find out that some of her belongings were at a house in Montino. She called her lawyers to see if she could recover any of her stuff as stolen property, since she had paid for it herself before she married Theophilus. They said no, because Elizabeth was married, and she had no legal existence, and her husband had legal right to all of her common property. You have not even a right to the hat on your head, for you are nothing and nobody in law. So she couldn't go back and get any of her stuff. Married women at this time had no right to property or even their wages. Their husbands owned it all. So she asked about her rights to her children. Children legally belonged to the husband until after the tender age. The tender age defined was different depending on the judge, with some saying until puberty or others saying 7 years old. But it was very important when it came to the male children. Like, so typically kids belong to the dad. Her lawyers told her you can have no right to your own children unless you get a divorce, because then she could sue him for custody. And
Mm.
even if she did divorce, there was no guarantee that she would win custody too, because she had no earnings, no home, and no male protector. An expert in the field stated the idea of a woman alone with legal custody over her children without the support of a paternal male was almost unimaginable.
Oh God.
So, right after the court case, the news exploded with stories condemning Theophilus for his treatment of Elizabeth, as well as Dr. McFarland for helping him. Both Theo and Dr. McFarland began a media campaign full of lies about Elizabeth, lies she couldn't even respond to because the newspapers ignored her letters, because she was a woman. It felt impossible for her to even stand up for herself against the two talented men and powerful because they were men, so they were like allowed more opportunities than her, while she had nobody to call for help because nobody would even answer any of her letters to them. On February 8th, Elizabeth Packard filed for divorce. He denied her when he received the legal paperwork and blamed her friends for being bad influences. But also, like, I would also want to be divorced from him. And it was a very
I
hard
would too,
decision.
yeah.
Like, at this point, her lawyers were like, this is your only way of having any power in this situation. And it was super hard for Elizabeth because she was a very religious woman and she was very pious and believed that divorce was not right for her. But she also wanted the rights to her kids and her freedom. And so this
Yeah.
was a huge step for her.
Yeah, yeah. And she deserves it. I mean, but yeah,
Right.
I mean, I get being conflicted though. I totally understand that.
It was all Elizabeth who had felt that women could not be made to sink. Okay, hold on, let me rethink. So he denied her when we received the paperwork, so he just ignored her. And it was Elizabeth who felt that women could not be made to sink permanently. So she's like, you will not keep bringing me down over and over and
Hell
over.
yeah.
So she had her children and an independent life to fight for. She was determined to become her own protector and refused to be a charity case like her husband. Not while she had a body and brains to make money. And that's where we're leaving Elizabeth today. Because
Love
what
that.
will she do? Because now she's not insane, but like she's got nothing. So
Yeah.
how will she succeed? What will she do? Find out next time because that's where we're ending today.
This is the end of it. Leaving you hanging again.
Exactly. I do love to
Yeah.
do it. I feel like I find
Mm.
good spots to be like, and that's where we end for
You really do
now.
though,
I'm
because
gonna
I'm
start calling you
wondering.
King Henry the Sixth. Obsessed with hangings.
He beheaded a lot of them, but he didn't hang a lot of them.
Who is the hanging happy?
I
It
don't
was one
know,
of the
but
Henrys.
I know a lot about King Henry the Eighth. Maybe it was the sixth because the eighth was the one that killed his wives.
Yeah. Well, divorce was not an option.
I will cover King Henry the Eighth lore. It's one of my favorites, and I will cover it eventually, probably next year, because at this point we're already halfway through 2025.
We're not halfway through. What? It's only
Oh,
February.
when this one comes out, it will be because I currently have
Oh,
it set for coming out in May.
I didn't realize how ahead we were. Like,
But what did you guys think about my last part of Elizabeth? I'm glad that she's no longer in her crazy era, I guess.
her
I was
her
honestly with the
fourth.
way that the sorry, Nev, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
I
What?
was just
No,
gonna
you're
say
fine.
the way that like the whole thing was going, like I thought that she was gonna be stuck in there forever, honestly. Like I thought you're gonna end it like the end, like the whole thing was gonna be like she stayed in there for the rest of her life until she died. Like that's what I was waiting for because I was like,
She just kept fighting it,
yeah,
and to
yeah.
no avail. The system.
I I wanted to give her some for the most part, I like to go with stories that aren't just complete hopelessness.
Yeah, thank God. Oh my
Hmm.
God.
Yeah, like that airplane one.
They live, some of them.
I know, but that one was really sad.
And they ate people to their
Yeah.
friends. They had to eat their friends to survive, but good thing they stayed alive, I guess.
Okay, any last thoughts on the episode first? Anybody?
I'm ready for Elizabeth to just tell me what the fuck is going on with her future. Because, like, girly pop,
We will definitely finish at the last
I want to hear
episode.
the
We
I'm
have a
stressed. I'm
part four.
stressed.
But also, yeah, her life really sucks. But I mean, she was married to Theophilus for like 20 years, and then he just did all this shit to her, and he keeps fucking her over. So,
She's like the person that when somebody tells you, like if she told you her story, you would be like, wow, you're really brave. Because you can't just tell somebody their life fucking sucks.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I
But
want
I
to hear
mean,
that she was doing good. She got her kids back.
What
And
a brave
if you
story.
guys are concerned, it does get better.
Good, thank
I
you.
want to
I'm
hear that
happy.
But
Elizabeth
It
yeah,
gets worse
happening.
before it gets
but
better.
Yeah.
um, but it's gonna be a struggle for a second. But anyway,
Oh man.
so as always, thank you for joining us on another episode of Sip and Saga Society. If you have any histories, mysteries, or stories you think should be told, feel free to DM us on Instagram or Facebook at Sip and Saga Society or Sip and Saga _ Society, or visit us on our website, sipandsaga.online. And if you have a story of a inspiring woman that you think should have her story told, that is also a fun time for us as well. Let us know what you think. And thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Peace out, Girl Scout.